The west bank is coming on nicely. Plenty of fresh growth and weeds. The little geranium there's gorgeous. Pink rosemary in the middle. Lovely pink lavender too. Love these little succulents, they're really clean to the wall. And there's this little massive bulb in there, a very old-fashioned plant called Scilla. Has bright purple flower coming out. There's Ginger Megs, watching over everything. Follows me around all the time, she does. Very cute. Little pansies. Diaska. Primula at the back. Hellebores of it looking very lush. If you look closely, you can see they're still got flowers on them. Going to seed though, so that's exciting. Hopefully might be able to get some seeds out of those. Yeah, you agree, do you, Megs? Roses are starting to bloom. I put these little, just across the gravel in front of the drive, in the front of the rocks there, put these little seaside daisies just to break that hard surface of the gravel into the rock. That's feverfew. Once you've got it forever. That's one of my flowers. My roses out there. Coming out on standard rose. It's Altissimo, that one. Red one. More of the cat. There we go. Keep you happy. There you go, Megsy. Okay, really, you want to have a say? You want to have a talk? Yeah. Anyway, there's a little frog there on the rock. More of the seaside daisy on the edge and gone into the garden bed now. Now, this is the herb garden here. This is lemon verbena, gorgeous plant. Now, I also have here a Leylandii in a pot. And why would I do that, do you think? Well, the plan is to cloud prune it. So it's got that big branch there. So cloud pruning, you strip all the foliage off at the beginning and just make like balls on the end of certain branches. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's just an experiment of mine. Okay, this garden here is called the pantry. Because it has two large, Granny Smith apple trees, which have been here. They were originally planted on the property. They're right near the front door, this garden. So we only had one door to the house initially. We've now alleviated that, but so I planted all the herbs in here so I could go from the kitchen to the nearest garden bed. So we've got that lemon verbena, we've got plenty of lavender and rosemary, we've got alliums, herbs, onions, thyme, we've got down in there we've got a little raspberry sorrel, also self-seeding. Just over the garden is usually fennel and coriander. This is a beautiful sage here, very pretty, but it's your typical sage. It's just common sage, nothing fancy about the variety. Going along this garden, we have curry plant. It smells divine if you like curry. Salvia's in here, more lavender, little thyme. There's some alliums. There's coriander. Actually, let's leave a few. Yeah, so that's that garden. Got this beautiful Banksia rose just coming into flower up the poles. And just at the end of the garden, we've got one of my favourite trees, and it is a Kashmir cypress. So it is like a weeping cypress. It's a brilliant tree. It's going to get fairly large. It's right on the boundary, so there's plenty of room for it because there's just a 100-acre paddock behind us. So it's not going to be affected by much at all. As the day warms up, we'll have so many bees with the lavender and the rosemary and just all the little flowers that we've got everywhere. And there's little birds. This morning I saw a lovely little honey eater. This garden is called Flushing Grove, and the reason being the septic is here, and I wanted to disguise the septic. So I was fortunate enough to find this rustic piece at our local tip shop, and it's sitting on the plastic dome of the septic, but then all of my cottage plants around it have grown up and really disguise it. This is Hot Lips. When Hot Lips comes out early spring, Hot Lips comes out red flowers. Then as the spring progresses to summer, the flowers come out are red and white. And then by late autumn, the flowers are white. Unique in that it can change its colours. Some irises tucked in there in the valerian. The pink flowering plant is valerian. It's called Centranthus ruber, and it self-seeds everywhere, as you can see by that. But it's easy enough to pull out, and it fills in gaps, and I really love the colour of it, and it does add to the wildlife in the garden. This tall thing here is going to get very tall. That's a solidago, so goldenrod. Very tall, spiky. Another type of salvia here. And one thing I've noticed here is the leucadendron, looking gorgeous in the sunshine. That one's called 16 Candles. Beautiful, Beautiful shrub. The flowers hold for a long time and make lovely flower arrangements. I'll just swing around here, back past the house, and here is the beginnings of the shade house, my little shed for my tools and stuff, and this is where I do my potting. Got all my gear there in my shed, got all my pots there. So I put things into the shade house, which we'll go and have a look in a minute. And then once I've done that, once they've been potted up and they're taken away, and they go on to these fences. You've got to recycle. So these fences make excellent racks. And so these plants are propagated, just growing on until they're ready to go out into the false beds for the nursery. Lots of salvias, some cherry laurels there, some lavenders. If you hear that little bird, and it's a fairy wren, and there's a family of fairy wrens that live just here. And when the plants are quite small, oh, they have a lovely time. Oh, there's a whole row of plants missing. Now there's a magpie that lives here, and the fairy wrens. And I just have to count my losses there. I just want to show you this iris. It's my pots, storage area for my pots. It's my water tank. This tank comes off the shed and is only used for the gardening, for the nursery. And this beautiful iris is looking glorious at the moment. Got the spiky grevillea there, brings in all the little birds. Must have little tractor. And this beautiful plant here is a Hardenbergia violacea, or happy wanderer. It's a native to Australia, and it wasn't planted here, it just grew. It's a creeper climber, and seeds, it's just long flowering. Lovely it is, just lovely. It's been flowering now since the end of winter. And we are in October, so we've already had a month of spring. Over a month of spring, nearly 2 months of spring. Right, we're now going into a secret area I have behind the house, between the two rainwater tanks that I call the Japanese garden. Cows in the paddock. Right, we're coming around the tank to the Japanese garden. Now this has been inspired by the Japanese gardens in Cowra. I haven't tightly clipped any of these things like they do there, but the potential is there. So the flowering May, double flowering May, it's been raining so it's a bit flattened, but it's usually nearly up to the height of the fence there. So we get sort of this window view of the cows in the paddock without seeing the fence. So we've got that there. We've got a birch there. This is a Pittosporum that's planted along the edge of the tank, and that's our window at our living room. We've got the bird hanger, we've got the bird bath. There are always birds on that hanger. Now, it's only a very small area, and there's the other tank, but we've got callistemon there, but we've got a lot of Japanese maples in here. That's butterfly, that Japanese maple, and we've got a red stem maple there, and then we've got salvias. Who'd have thought it'd be flowering, but it gets so much protection in here. We've got plenty of little violets on the floor, on the ground. This little pinky colour one. We have Jacob's Ladder in flower, looking superb. Looking gorgeous. We have another Japanese maple here, and this is just a seed variety Japanese maple, whereas the other ones were grafted. Got a few geraniums, some hellebores, more hellebores. We've got our little pond there. Lamium, there's the silver there, spreading nicely. Bird feeder. They've got this hot pink geranium here. It seems to flower most of the year in this position because it's so protected from this tree. We've got a few, so we're back to the Spiraeas, the double flowering May, but we've got some special Spiraeas in here. We've got a red one, and we've got this one with gold foliage. So now that they've been successful in this garden, I will propagate them, cornice, and then I will put them into the other gardens and see if I can get them into a more exposed position. So we'll walk out of here. We have a lemon-scented gum growing in here. Now that is not suitable for this climate, and therefore it's planted in here because it's so protected. It's actually frost tender, that one, but as you can see, we've come through the winter and got beautiful new growth. Sticky wattle next to it. Got some beautiful roses in here that are not out yet. Here we have another magnificent tree, only a little tree at this stage. That's a native frangipani to Australia, and that too is a rainforest tree and has survived in our hot and cold climate. It's not unusual for us to get snow. We get frosts. We probably get down to probably -8 at the most extreme, but we do get the hot, dry summers, and we've had drought for a few years. Here we've got the evening primrose. It's actually flowering already. Another lavender. This little salvia here. That is another one that is extremely frost tender. Van Houtte is its name. And it's doing all right. This salvia here, called Sensation, and it's starting to flower too. Makes me excited when I see that. Okay, we've got lots of valerian on the ground there. Another hot lip salvia. Honesty coming up. Money plant coming up there. Here's another experiment of mine, is this fuchsia. This is a hardy fuchsia. It's now gone through one winter and 2 seasons. So, time to propagate. It obviously will cope in the garden, and it's doing beautifully. Just behind it, we can see the spires of the Russell lupin. Beautiful. And behind that, there's a pingle. Go and have a look at that. See if we can. This morning I noticed there in this garden here, this is Waverley, little salvia, and has long spikes, but I noticed this is where I noticed the honey eater was bouncing around in this here, which was lovely. This is the fairy garden. And if you look at the other video, you'll see I had one just on the fairy garden. One of the roses around. This rose is called Barbara Streisand. More Sporrea. A little lilac coloured salvia coming out there. The forsythia, spires of the forsythia, looking glorious. Oh, beautiful when it was in flower, but it's finished now. And here is the pink lupin. All right, this little cypress here is a lemon scented cypress. It's really grown in the last few years. Right, we'll go around behind it, squeeze in, and the Judas tree there, it's just got one flower left now, and down in on the stems. It's funny, interesting tree. So it has a wonderful folklore history of being the hanging tree, but it also flowers on its stems just before the leaves come out, so it's a gorgeous thing. This is Weigela rosaceae, yep, and it's pink, but if you look at it closely, it is pink, but it sort of has trumpet flowers that are white on the inside, and as they age they get darker, but the buds are dark pink. Lots of bugs on it, bees coming out, looking glorious. And this is an osteospermum. This is just the bronze variety next to the lavender, and it's just spread itself. Oh, we've got another Japanese maple in this garden, and that's just a seed one that I've grown. And over the pond, why is the pond fence off, you might ask? Duckies. I wouldn't have any water lilies. I wouldn't have water if I let the ducks in there. It's my delphinium coming on there in the cage. Hebe. This beauty here is a buddleia, and this is called the winter buddleia. And in the background you see the Cytisus racemosus or yellow broom, glowing. All the rain, so many mushrooms. I'm not sure if they're edible, so I assume they're not. Here's another osteospermum, a burgundy one. Ducks enjoying the garden, especially where it's wet. All right, I'm going to cross the other side of the arch. We've got the silver plant there is Dusty Miller, Senecio, and then behind it is a Weigela in flower. That's the variegated one, so it's a paler pink in colour. It's gorgeous. Now, We will go to the left, being careful not to stand on any of our beauties. This is an emu bush, Eremophila, native to Australia. Nice little shrub there, pink flowers, so many in the variety, in the species. In there is California poppy and a Chinese lantern here, a red one. Little Chinese lanterns. Abutilon is its common name. It's flowering May there. We're going to go to this garden, which is called Gum Gully. The reason why it's called Gum Gully is because it's underneath a whole heap of gums, and I wanted to plant things that could cope with living underneath gum trees. So this Elginii hugii, or native hibiscus. This is the purple variety. It also comes in another purple variety and a white one. It's looking stunning at the moment. Now on the ground here, I'll show you a little Spiraea that I have that I've only recently planted. This Spiraea, yeah, it's called Pink Ice. So it's got that white double flower of the typical Spiraea for flowering May, but it's got like a variegated flush of pink on its leaves, so that'll be nice. Hopefully it'll be a nice strong bush. Okay, so deep in Gum Gully, I've got some callistemons, I've got some buddleias, I've even planted some Acanthus mollis in there because I thought that loves dry shade. Got another bird feeder, another bird bath. It's always covered in native birds. Hibiscus here. Ginger Megs is still tagging along, saying what you doing. Little dianthus there that has brilliant burgundy and white flowers. A Hebe, this is a white one. Okay, this plant here, this shrub here is lovely. So it's winter honeysuckle or Lanicia, and it's a shrub honeysuckle. But it has your typical honeysuckle flowers late winter, and it smells divine. So that's the winter honeysuckle there. More salvias there. There's a lavender with called white wings, so it's got your purple calyx in the middle, but then they've got the white wings on the end, so that's lovely. Okay, now we're going to go through here and I'm going to show you another honeysuckle. Now this is called a grey leaf honeysuckle. Doesn't have the smell of a typical honeysuckle, but it is a lovely plant. The grey is beautiful, the foliage is lovely, and the little pink flowers are gorgeous too. Okay, now we're going to go over, I think I'd like to show you, the Ceanothus. Let's look at that. Right, and a duck. Here's a duck. So this is called Hen's Haven, this garden, because behind it is the chook pen, so they get a little bit of respite and protection. So we've got the wormwood Armitesia there, and it goes into the chook pen. We've got some feverfew there because they like that herb. The first thing they do when they come out is peck at that. A Hebe, Nandina, so got some lovely little bits and pieces in there that are going to have some colour. Pussy, and we've got candy tuft, little white candy tuft there, and we've got some yarrow that's coming on, some echinaceas. Bees are loving this. Another bird bath. I have the bird bath, bird water everywhere, because not just for birds, but in our climate, I find it's good for insects, but it's really unnecessary at the moment. Like I said, Hens Haven, it's a Juga down there, sedum, got some heuchera there, 2 heucheras, we've got a red one, and then we've got one with a very dark leaf. And we've got some granny bonnets. Should be, oh, they're out, I think. Let's have a look. Oh, I think that worked. They're going to look lovely with the white of the daisy, the Marguerite daisy, and then the purple of the Ceanothus, or Californian lilac, it's a common name. So that daisy is planted there because it doesn't like a hard frost either. It's thrived there. And this is all under a big gum tree. What's that you say in the tree? Well, it's a bicycle. Because we could. Alright, we've got a crab apple in this garden. We've got our water bird, our stork, and we've got some primulas that are just finished. Little geranium there. Some bulbs. Buddleia, we've got a potato vine on the fence. The back there, it's a little blue one. What's the matter? Okay, iris coming on here. Got another lovely lavender. It's Ghostly Princess. Yeah. We've got a witch hazel in this garden. Slow growing tree. In there we've got a variegated buddleia. Has a purple flower. I just loved it for its leaves. It's the back of the nursery, this shop. That blue is just finishing. Native daisy, so Brachycomb multifida. That one's called Break a Day. Hellebor's still going. White catmint. Nice change from your traditional purple. More hellebores. And rosemary. Looks like our sunshine won't be lasting for very long. Thank you for joining us on a walk around the garden today. It's October 2022. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, and I will post more videos as we go along. See how you can keep track of what's happening in the garden, but you can also visit on a Friday or a Saturday when we're open. Please like or subscribe. That'd be fantastic. And enjoy the rest of your day.